Hi there. Welcome to my channel, Phil PCI SAQs yourself. It's been a while since I've recorded, a video. So we left off at the SAQ-A, the sections 1 and 2, basically. So all of the things that you need to basically fill in your company's details, the channels that you accept credit cards through, and how your business stores, processes, or transmits cardholder data. High level description of the environment, things like that. In this video, and which is going to be a lengthy video as well, we are going to focus on um, the actual requirements. Okay, so you can see here that it starts off with requirement 2 basically, and that's because you can see here that the SAQ-A has these requirements which are applicable. So PCI DSS as a standard has 12 requirements, and not all requirements are applicable for the SAQ-A. And um, we are going to touch upon requirement 2 and requirement 3 here. So please note that where to go in order to download this document could be checked in my earlier video in this series. So SAQA, titled section 1 and 2. I'll anyways leave a link in the show notes, but for this we'll directly start off with requirement 2. Okay, so requirement 2, let's kind of dissect what this means. So apply secure configurations to all system components. Here it says that the requirement is system components are configured and managed securely. Okay, and you can choose between 4 responses. So in place, if you have it in place, so simple enough. In place with CCW. So in place with CCW means in place with compensating controls basically. And what that means is, like, if you do not exactly have this requirement in place, you have other requirements that fills the intent of this requirement. There could be multiple examples, but for the sake of brevity in this video, um, I will, not talk about this. But I think I'll create like a separate video which will specifically focus on, how to implement compensating controls. So that would be a better idea in my place. And not applicable means if this requirement is not applicable to your business, and not in place means you do not have this in place. Okay, now let's look at what the requirement says. So vendor default accounts are managed as follows. If the vendor default accounts will be used, the default password is changed per requirement 8.3.6. So we'll have to check that, requirement 8.3.6. And if the vendor default account will not be used, the account is removed or disabled. Okay, now, the expected testing is actually for the qualified security assessors. I mean, this was meant originally for the qualified security assessors. So if you are, a merchant or service providers with credit card transactions of 6 millions and above per year, then you are required, to be audited by a qualified security assessor every year. So this is for their guidance basically, but you can also use these same guidances internally, even though, if you are filling an SAQ, you will not need to undergo an audit yearly, but you can still use this expected testing column to just do an internal quality assurance of your own evidences, right? Now, um, so if you have vendor default account, so what does that mean? So that means that, again, you need to understand your organization's scope, technical scope, which stores, processes, or transmits credit card data. So you need to identify all of the components. You basically need to create an inventory of all of the components that store, process, or transmit credit card data. And let's say that you have a database which is, let's say, MySQL, right? And that database receives that database stores cardholder data. Let's say that database stores the credit card number, the card verification code, the 3-digit code, etc., right? So if you're using MySQL, that database, if it has a vendor default account, that cannot be used anymore. So the default account, the password, the username can still remain the same, although it's a good idea to change the username as well, but the password has to be removed. So what they mean is that let's say I have MySQL default password, for example, right? So you can see here, yeah, this one does not have a passwords, but let's say database default passwords. Yeah, let's go to this website, cirt.net. All right. So let's take a look at a common database. By the way, you can see the default passwords for all databases here, but let's see what we have. Do we have MariaDB here? No, we don't. Just for MySQL. Yeah, let's go to MySQL and just see what do they have. So first of all, yeah, so let's say you use this, right? I mean, just for an example, MySQL Eventum, you can see the password is admin. So this cannot be this cannot be um, you know a default password anymore. You'll have to change it according to PCI DSS requirement 8.3.6. Okay. The default user ID can still be the same, but then it's always a good idea to change the default user ID as well, because otherwise this gives a hint. This gives a hint to the attackers that the user ID is being used by an admin, for example. So they'll there's a possibility that they can target this database, right? I mean, based on that, that will narrow down their search, basically. Okay, so requirement 8.3.6, right? So let's take a look at requirement 8.3.6. Yeah, so if passwords or passphrases are used as authentication factors, they meet the following minimum level of complexity. So you'll have to basically change this password to a password that has a minimum length of 12 characters, right? But if the system does not support 12 characters, which most of the systems nowadays they do, a minimum length of 8 characters should suffice. Okay, and it should contain both numeric and alphanumeric characters, basically. Now that is there to it for requirement 2 for an SAQ-A. And if uh, the vendor default account will not be used, right, then that account is either removed or disabled. So if you do not have any plans to use this default account at all, and if you create your own account, then this default account should be completely either removed or at least disabled, for it to not be exploited by attackers. So it's basically called system hardening, where you remove all of the unnecessary services from your infrastructure and from your application components, so that your chances of so that your chances of basically exploitation reduces, right? Now, so let's say you have a MySQL database and you have done all of these things, right? You can just go ahead and choose in place there. Okay. Um, that's that's about it, honestly. And just one thing to note is that whatever you do, so you can basically start putting all of these evidences just so in case anybody asks for it, your acquiring bank, or the PSP that you partner with, anybody can ask for these evidences. So it's always a good idea to keep screenshots of all of these requirements, and to create like a folder structure basically. So you can create a Google Drive and just put a folder structure called PCI DSS SAQ-A, and then put folders for requirement 2.2.2, and keep the screenshots that you have disabled the default user ID, password, etc. So that's it for requirement 2 here. And yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments, and I'll for sure respond to it. Okay. So let's move on to requirement 3. Right, so requirement 3 talks about protect stored account data. So only, and this is applicable only for companies that store account data. And by account data, they mean the PCI DSS, um, the cardholder data basically. So the 16 digit so the the 16 to 19 digit cardholder data, credit card data, the CVV, etc., right? The the contents of the card. And you can check for what constitutes account data. I am also planning to create a video of that account data in PCI DSS. So they have also standards. So you can see here. So this is the official. You should always go to this website, right? So let's just see cardholder data, and so they have a glossary of this. Um, they have a glossary of this. So you can see here in standards they had somewhere they had a glossary. So resources. If you go to resources, you can go to PCI SSC glossary, and let's go to C. And you can see here cardholder data, right? So at a minimum, cardholder data consists of full PAN, so which is the 16 digit or 19 digit credit card, 16 digit to 19 digit credit card number. Cardholder data may also appear in the form of the full PAN plus any of the following: cardholder name, expiration date, and or service code. Okay, let's see if they have anything with account data. um, Same thing. Account data consists of cardholder data and or sensitive authentication data. So your credit card number, name, your CVV, etc. Okay. So basically, they're talking about this. So if your company stores this, then this is applicable for you. Okay. Now, the first thing that you will do, that you'll need to do, is to create security policies and operational procedures, right? So they have to be documented with kind of version control, like who is the author, when was this policy created, and um, when was basically um, when was this policy approved, and has this policy been disseminated to all applicable parties, etc. And you can nowadays you can use chat GPT, honestly, to um to just write a policy for you, and then you can, yeah, I'll so if you store account data, okay, if you do not store account data, you can simply put not applicable. But let's try and use chat GPT here. So let's say you have, yeah, so you can just type in, write a policy. So let's say you have a company called, my company's name is ABC. We work with XYZ PSP. We store cardholder data. We store cardholder data. um, including, just throwing a random example, including PAN and CVV. Okay. Now, write. This is I love Chat GPT for this one. I mean, Gen AI in general. Write a PCI DSS, policy focused on, requirement three, specific to our company, and it'll spit out the entire policy. Yeah, this is brilliant, right? So you can just copy paste this and just write a policy. If you do not have these roles and responsibilities, which is a key component, by the way, of any policy, so you'll have to make sure that you have the roles and responsibilities. But then yeah, you can just edit it based on your organization's needs and your requirements, right? Okay, so that's about it. And yeah, let's go to requirement 3.2.1. So let's see what it reads here. So account data storage is, um, by the way, again, I don't make these videos like super formal, so I can, um, so as you can see, I'm drinking coffee, I'm having water at times. So I'm just recording this, like, to help the community and not, to kind of um, prove my marketing skills, or prove how brilliant of a YouTube channel I make, etc. And I'm saying this because suddenly, so I'm using Loom for the first time, and suddenly, like, uh, my video has been blurred by Loom. I don't know because of what reason. I'll have to get in touch with them. But anyways, so I'm not sure if this, if my face will appear for the rest of the video. So pardon me for that. But I'll get in touch with Loom of what happened here. Let me take a screenshot of this one. Um, um, I am going to, send them this. Yeah, just trying out Loom for the first time. I bought a business plan, just to make this video. Okay, so account data storage is kept to a minimum through implementation of data retention and disposal policies, procedures, and processes that include at least the following, right? Coverage of all locations of stored account data. So you'll need to create an inventory, and I'll again create a detailed video of how an inventory should be created. But there is no one size fits all, and there is no set format by the PCI DSS. But you will need to create your asset inventory, and you will have to put the locations of all the stored account data. By locations, they mean the infrastructure component. So it could be a MySQL database, it could be any database, it could be storage servers, it could be S3 buckets, any storage location that your company stores the account data in, right? And it has to be, so if you do not need it for business purposes, you should not store it. So if you need only the last four digits of a credit card number, right? And if you do not need the full 16 digit or the 19 digit credit card number, you should not store it. You should store only the last four digits, right? Coverage of any sensitive authentication data, which is basically the CVV, the three digit code. Different brands call it differently. Coverage of for any sensitive authentication data stored prior to completion of authorization. Okay. You can see here, um, that, if so, you first of all, you should not store sensitive authentication data at all, right? But if you need it, for authorization, right, after authorization, it can be deleted. um, so I mean, if you do not need it, you should not store sensitive authentication data at all. But then you will have to kind of keep records in the database, um, if you store sensitive authentication data before the authorization happens. Okay. um, just for kind of, I think these are also helpful in later kind of forensic incidents, etc. And that you do not I mean, if you use it, that you keep like a track of that, without deleting that. Limiting data storage amount and retention time to that which is required for legal or regulatory. So if you, for this is just mentions that, so again, you need to create an inventory. So let's say my database is MySQL. Um, my database is MySQL, and my um, storage location of my PAN card number and my CVV is columns, this and column this of this database, right? The retention time should be, if it's required for business, only up to 2 years. Then after 2 years, those numbers should be automatically deleted if that's not written, and that needs to be maintained. Okay. Specific retention requirements for stored account data that define lengths of retention period and includes a documented business justification. So you need to create a retention policy, again outside of the scope of this video, but I'll be let me take a note of all of these like videos that I should be making, because I have templates available with all of these, but I want to make like videos to just show how these could be created. That would be really helpful for um, viewers. So one is asset inventory, and number two is retention policy. Okay. Processes for secure deletion or rendering account data unrecoverable when no longer needed. So you need to have processes for secure deletion, and that those could be like software deletion methods, or hardware deletion methods. If you have them in hardware, like there are multiple processes, so you can just go online and check for either in Chat GPT how to render. Yeah, you can unrecoverable for MySQL, for example. Yeah, you see, I mean, it's just like one prompt away, from you. So you can just use this, and like there are other techniques for like hard disks, etc. Right. So a process for verifying for at least once every 3 months that the stored account data exceeding the defined retention period has been securely deleted. Yeah, so you need to keep an internal process for every 3 months. You can keep reminders for yourselves, or set it as a Jira ticket. A lot of companies kind of put all of these controls in a governance, risk, and compliance tool like ServiceNow, etc. And they keep reminders for themselves with control owners specified, where they need to check this. um, that's about it. And if you have this in place, you can put it. If it's not applicable or not in place, for many, if you do not store account data, and if everything is done by the by your PSP, so payment services provider, or your tokenization provider, etc., then you can just put this as not applicable. But you need to keep evidence that you can basically ask for their PCI DSS certificate or PCI DSS attestation of compliance, and and um, yeah, basically, you can just mention it. Let's see what the applicability note says. When account data is stored by a third-party services provider, right? So, for example, in a cloud environment, entities. Yeah, so this is basically what I just mentioned, right? So you can ask for your third-party service providers PCI DSS attestation of compliance, and you'll need to check, if they are fully compliant with this requirement. In that, so if they, so you'll have to check their, SAQ, or sorry, their AOC, and check if they have mentioned the requirement 3 as in place. And that's all you can do from your side. That's it for requirement 3. When in our next video we'll go with we'll explain requirement 6. And till then, yeah, so I'll also put all the necessary links in my show notes, and yeah, help wherever I can. Thanks for watching again, and I will continue this journey for Phil PCI SAQs myself, and we'll continue with requirement 6 and move on to requirement 8, because requirement 7 is not applicable for SAQ-A in our next video. Till then, have a marvelous rest of the day ahead, and bye. Thanks for watching again. Bye.